The Dynamic Learning Maps Alternate Assessment System is a new assessment designed to more validly measure what students with significant cognitive disabilities know and can do. This video will provide an introduction to the Dynamic Learning Maps essential elements, which have been developed in English language arts and mathematics for students with significant cognitive disabilities who will complete the alternate assessment. This training, the Dynamic Learning Maps Essential Elements, is one of a series of training videos that supports teachers of students with significant cognitive disabilities in their efforts to teach and assess. Sponsored by a grant from the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Special Education Programs, this training is part of the professional development efforts of the Dynamic Learning Maps Alternate Assessment Consortium. The Dynamic Learning Maps Essential Elements are specific statements of the content and skills that are linked to the college and career readiness grade level standards. They detail specific expectations for students with significant cognitive disabilities. They were developed to address the fact that the authors of college and career readiness standards, such as the Common Core State Standards, did not provide specific guidance regarding the application of the standards to students who perform well below expected grade levels or have identified disabilities. In this case, the essential elements are intended to provide links between college and career readiness grade level standards and grade-specific expectations for students with significant cognitive disabilities. The links between each individual grade level standard and the essential elements are important. For example, the 4th grade level of the English Language Arts Common Core Standards reads, "Write informative, explanatory text to examine a topic and convey ideas and information clearly. Introduce a topic clearly and group related information in paragraphs and sections. Include formatting, for example headings, illustrations, and multimedia when useful to aiding comprehension." The team of educators and content experts working on the Dynamic Learning Maps project identified the essential element of this standard as write to convey ideas and information clearly. Select a topic and related visual, tactual, and multimedia information. The link between the college and career readiness grade level standard and the essential element is clear. Both emphasize writing to convey ideas and information. Both address topic, and both include the use of related illustrations and multimedia. The essential element is not a downward extension of the grade level standard. Instead, it is a clarification of the elements that are most essential in achieving the standard. Hunter provides us with a meaningful example of what it might look like for a student with significant cognitive disabilities to engage successfully in instruction that addresses this grade level standard. In this case, Hunter's topic for writing is an apple tree project he worked on the previous day. This topic also resulted in a visual, tactual representation to accompany his writing efforts. The way Hunter engages in writing is perhaps the most unique part of this example. Hunter cannot hold a pencil to write, and efforts to get him to use standard or alternate keyboards have not been successful. He has only recently developed the ability to use symbols to communicate basic choices, and prior to the school year when this video was created, it was unclear whether Hunter knew or could learn letters of the alphabet. His teacher and the entire team made a commitment to developing a system that would allow Hunter to access each of the letters of the alphabet so, like other beginning readers and writers, Hunter could engage regularly in writing as a means of learning about letters, words, and written communication. We often refer to this alternate access to all of the letters of the alphabet as an alternate pencil. In this case, it qualifies as a true alternate pencil because it has the capacity to allow Hunter to write anything he wants once he learns more about reading and writing. At this point, Hunter is not able to identify individual letters of the alphabet, but he is using them successfully to engage meaningfully in a sustained writing interaction with his teacher. Let's watch the video.
Okay, Hunter, we're writing about your paper creation that you made yesterday. Very good. We're writing a title. We have the title of my paper creation is, and so far you have A. Would you like to write more about your paper creation? No. Okay. Now, our next question says, one important thing about my paper creation is... So let's write why your paper creation is important. And we'll put it over here. Let me see. We'll put it over here for just a minute till you finish writing, okay? So I want to know the important thing you want to say. Does it have an A? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, I'm going to write an A. Does it have another A? No. Okay, let's look at our next one. Our next one is B. Does your writing have a B? Yes. Okay. Does it have another B? No. Very good. Does your what you want to say have a C? Does it have a C? Yes or no? Yes, a C. Very nice. Okay, does it have another C? It have A, B, C, E, 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 H. Would you like to write more about your paper creation? Yes. Okay. Do you want to write another H? Yes or no? No? Okay, what about I? Yeah? Is there an I in what you want to say? Yes or no? Yes. I. Is there another I in what you want to say? Yes. Down here. One important thing about my paper creation is, let's see what you wrote. You wrote A, B, C, E, 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 H, I, J, J, J. I see an H. We can write Hunter with that. Let's write Hunter. H, U, N, T, E, R.
As you could see, Hunter is working on writing to convey his ideas about a topic, the apple tree, and he has related visual and tactual information to support his writing. Hunter does not yet demonstrate proficiency in using writing to convey his ideas, but he is clearly working toward achieving the standard through this sort of instruction. Developing the dynamic learning map's essential elements as a means to clarify the grade-specific expectations for students with significant cognitive disabilities was an intensive process with multiple stages of development. Over the course of 18 months, a cycle of preparation, development, and review was repeated several times. Led initially by Dr. Jan Schenker and Beth Judy of Advantia Incorporated, members of the Dynamic Learning Maps Consortia received resource materials, participated in webinars, engaged in on-site development work, had content and population experts review their resulting product, shared it with stakeholders, and reviewed it once again with follow-up webinars, emails, and conference calls. This resulted in a complete draft of the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements that were then revised to ensure their alignment with the learning maps that underlie the Dynamic Learning Map's alternate assessment system. Preparing to develop the essential elements required a great deal of advance work. Consortium members were provided with information regarding the Common Core State standards as examples of college and career readiness standards, including important links to resources, videos, and online trainings. Educators who were gathering to conduct the on-site development of the initial set of essential elements read and explored these resources independently, and then participated in a webinar that provided an overview and summary of the information that related directly to the development of the essential elements. Representatives from 13 states were then convened in English language arts and mathematics. More than 70 educators, content experts, and assessment developers from member states gathered in each of the face-to-face on-site working meetings. One meeting focused on the development of the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements for English language arts, and the other focused on the development of the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements in mathematics. At each meeting, the state representatives began with a careful review of the Common Core state standards and in-depth discussions regarding their meaning and intent. Those discussions led to a draft version of the essential elements for the grade level standards. The drafts of the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements that resulted from these on-site meetings were reviewed by content experts, revised, reviewed again by stakeholders, and revised, and finally aligned closely with the research on the learning and cognitive development that is reflected in the Dynamic Learning Maps in English language arts and mathematics. As in the development of college and career readiness standards, the process of developing the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements involved important design decisions. First and foremost, authors of the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements had to focus on student learning. For more than a decade, we have talked about providing students with significant cognitive disabilities with access to the general curriculum. But development of the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements extends beyond mere access to learning. The goal was to ensure that the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements increase the likelihood that students with significant cognitive disabilities would achieve college and career readiness. Another decision involved making certain that the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements created comparable expectations for students with significant cognitive disabilities, while highlighting the essential learning elements of each grade-level college and career readiness standard. Consistent with college and career readiness standards, the decision was made to write the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements using performance terms that describe what students should know and be able to do. This was done in a manner that ensured that the final elements are measurable and observable. Other design priorities that drove the development of the essential elements included defining differences from grade to grade with respect to cognitive demand, content knowledge, and skills-based expectations. This decision resulted from an understanding that we had to look beyond the verbs that were used when assessing the complexity of a standard or of an essential element. While the use of verbs like select and identify provide important information regarding the way students will demonstrate a skill or understanding, they do not alone dictate the level of cognitive complexity. The complexity of the content or skills addressed in college and career readiness standards, or essential elements, contributes significantly to the complexity of the expectations. Other design priorities involved considering all of the standards at a given grade level when identifying essential elements, rather than trying to create a one-on-one correspondence between the standards and the essential elements. While most standards have an essential element linked directly to them, there is not necessarily a one-to-one relationship between each college and career readiness standard and each essential element. That said, every effort was made to align the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements within and across grade levels. As you begin to explore the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements, it is important to understand what they are not. For example, the essential elements are not replacements for grade-level college and career readiness standards, nor are they downward extensions of those standards. They are not statements of functional skills. Certainly, students should learn to apply the academic skills they acquire in meaningful, personally relevant, functional ways, but the essential elements do not address functional skills directly. The Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements are also not curriculum or learning progressions. The skills and understandings addressed in the essential elements appear in the dynamic learning maps that underlie the entire Dynamic Learning Maps alternate assessment system. But on their own, the essential elements do not create a curriculum, learning progression, or learning map. Importantly, for those of us who teach students with significant cognitive disabilities, the essential elements are not simply restated as goals or benchmarks on students' individual education programs, but they can serve as a resource to IEP teams in aligning IEP goals with individual targets for working toward grade level standards. The Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements are also not separate from grade level college and career readiness standards. They align directly with those standards. Finally, like the college and career readiness standards, the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements do not define what is taught or how to teach it. They do, however, help clarify the grade level standards through their clear statement of specific content and skills that are the essential elements for all students learning and demonstrating progress in college and career readiness standards. In closing, we would like to offer special thanks to Advantia Incorporated, Beth Judy, and Dr. Jan Shanker of Shanker Educational Services for their leadership in developing the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements and their support in gathering content for this training. For more information about the Dynamic Learning Map's essential elements and the Dynamic Learning Map's alternate assessment system, please go to www.dynamiclearningmaps.org. Thank you.